Hey everyone, this is Mike. Today I'm going to be doing the rotation guide on Samurai, and Samurai is probably one of the simpler melees when it comes to how you play them, because you're pretty much always going to be rotating through their three different combos. Now, Samurai has three different combos, as I just mentioned. They have a attack speed combo through Kasha, they have a attack damage combo through the Gecko combo, and then last but not least, they also have the Yukikaze combo, which is just the final one to round out your three combos, because you have three different sens. Depending on the situation, you want to have 1, 2 or 3 sens when you use your EI Jutsu, which is your sen spender. In a single target fight, we're only going to be using the 1 and the 3 sen spenders, which is your 1 minute dot from the 1 sen, and then having 3 sens will execute a Midare. We're also always going to be using Tsubame Gaishi with the Midare Setsugeka, because that's the most potency. And that's pretty much the sen thingies. Now, of course, we also have our, what's it called again, Meikyo Shisui, which allows us to execute combo actions without needing to be in a combo itself, kind of like Perfect Balance from Monk, I guess you could say. And we're basically always going to be using that to create 3 sens for us, so that we can get an extra Midare in there. Now, we can also delay our Meikyo Shisui a little bit every time that we get it, because it is on a 55-second recast time instead of on a 61, meaning that there's a little bit of leeway into where you can use it, and it is basically always going to be up for the moment that you need it, because we're going to be using it to set up our Tsubame Gaishi every single time. So Samurai works around a 1 minute rotation with a very small deviation every 2 minutes. And then in between there, depending on your skill speed tier, you're also going to be changing your rotation very slightly. So in, I believe, patch 0.05 or something, I know it's very soon after the game came out, or like after Shadowbringers came out, Samurai got Hagakure back. Now, Hagakure is something that converts your sen into your Kenki gauge. Kenki is something that you generate as you just execute GCDs and positionals, so hitting positionals on Samurai does not increase your damage immediately as like the normal potency of the skills, but hitting positionals does increase your Kenki gauge by an extra 5, so that's how you're basically getting the damage refunded, instead of just having like raw damage potencies on your GCDs. Now, using Hagakure converts your sen into Kenki gauge, which is something that you usually use in dungeons, or if there's been like a downtime and you need to refresh your attack speed buff or your damage buff. Then you can use it to just get rid of those sen without you basically overcapping them, because that's something that you don't want to do. Now, as I said, depending on your skill speed tier, you're actually going to be using this as well, because Samurai actually has too many GCDs in their 1 minute rotation, and depending on how fast you go, you're actually going to have to do more Hagakures than normal. So I'm going to put it on screen real quick. If you have a very slow skill speed, which is what I have, I actually have a little bit less than that even, so my skill speed is not that great to show the rotation, but it still flows quite well. But basically, if you have a very slow skill speed tier, you're going to be using 1 Yukikaze combo, and then using Hagakure on that to get rid of the 1 leftover sen. If you have a higher skill speed tier, you're going to be using 1 normal combo. This can either be the Gecko combo or the Kasha combo, that is all up to you. And then you're going to get rid of that 1 sen that you generate from that. And then if you have even higher skill speed, if you're gonna go real speedy boy Samurai, that's when you want to use 2 Yukikaze combos and get rid of both of them. Basically what it comes down to is 1 Yukikaze combo is 2 GCDs, a normal combo is 3 GCDs, and then of course 2 Yukikaze combos are 4 GCDs. So depending on your skill speed tier, just like go hit the boss, activate your Shifu attack speed buff, check your recast time on your GCD, and then just like look at which one of the 3 that you basically need to use. In my example, I have a very low skill speed on my Samurai right now, so I am going to be using the 1 Yukikaze one for that. Reason why we do that is, as I said, we have too many GCDs, meaning that we're gonna have to get rid of some extra generated sen that we have, because otherwise the rotation is not gonna flow, and then our Meikyo Shisui is gonna start misaligning with our Tsubame Gaishi, and that's something that we really do not want to have happen, because that way we're gonna like delay our Tsubame every time, and if we start delaying our really strong burst, we're basically gonna start doing more less and less damage, because Samurai does not offer any DPS buffs towards the party, but it does have a lot of personal DPS, so it's really important that you're able to make use out of all of these raid buffs that you are given. Now, since most raid buffs are on a 1 minute timer, for example, Trick is 1 minute, Chain, Divination 2 minutes, other stuff like Brotherhood, Litany, Battle Voice, that all aligns with your 1 minute burst at the 3 minute mark. So you really want to keep everything on that strict 1 minute rotation. As I said, every 2 minutes your burst is gonna vary slightly every single time, because you'll have that Hisatsu Sene there, or Guren if you're AoEing. But in general, on a single target, we're gonna use Sene there. Also really simple, you don't really have to worry about keeping enough gauge for it, because every 60 seconds you're gonna have Iki Shoten, which is going to generate 50 Kenki gauge for you, and of course Sene uses 50 gauge. In other words, on the 1 minute mark, when we use our Iki Shoten, we're just gonna spend the gauge that we get from it on Shintens, and on the 2 minute mark, we're gonna spend it on that Sene. Now, one quick thing before we go on to the dummy, if you're able to use Third Eye, which is like a defensive skill, and you get your eyes open, so you use it on the correct spot, using Seigan is a DPS gain over Shinten, so if possible, use Third Eye to mitigate the damage, get the open eyes buff, and then use Seigan. If not, then just spend it on a Shinten. So with that being said, let's take a quick look at a dummy. I'm only going to be doing a 2 minute parse because 2 minutes is pretty much the whole rotation window from Samurai, but as you could have seen at the start of the video, that's where I do a 4 minute rotation. So we're going to be starting out with using our attack speed combo, because that is what usually is going to give you the biggest DPS gain, as if you start with the damage combo, you might actually lose a GCD over the course of the fight, and then that one GCD can cost you quite dearly, depending on which GCD it was. Now, through executing our AI Jutsus as well as our Tsubame Gaishi, we're going to generate meditate stacks, and we can spend those meditate stacks on our level 80 skill Shoha. Now here we're gonna do one Midare, and since we have plenty of time on our buffs left, I'm also going to do our one filler combo here. So as you can see, one Yukikaze, and I'm gonna get rid of those stacks. And we're gonna do one more Midare. Now every combo of Samurai, doesn't matter which one it is, as long as you hit the positionals of course, will generate 20 gauge for you. So if you know that, then you pretty much know how much gauge you're going to be generating every single time, which is very important as well when it comes to knowing how much you need to keep for your, what's this thing called again? Your Kaiten. Because you always want to be using Kaiten before you use an EI Jutsu. But basically, if you still have one combo left to go and you can hit all of the positionals in that combo, then you will generate your 20 gauge. So that's kind of how you know when you can actually completely dump your gauge and stuff like that. Now I'm gonna do my one filler combo over here, because we still have enough time on our buffs. And then we're gonna just keep like depleting our gauge, because we don't really need it at the moment. And because of our Iki Shoten that is about to be up again as well. And we want to be using that on cooldown, of course, because it is a quite big DPS gain to have that on. Now, as you can see, our Sene is about to be up, so I am going to keep my gauge instead of spending it, so that we can use it on that Sene. And we're gonna get our Meiko Shisui up again. And that allows us to get our Midare and then our Tsubame Gaishi Midare as well. And that's pretty much Samurai. Like, that's the very short 2 minute rotation. It pretty much keeps repeating itself from here. The only small difference that you have is when you would be using your Shoha, because Shoha does come up a little bit different every single time depending on how many EI Jutsus that you have. Of course, normally you do have 2 EI Jutsus, I believe, in between each burst window. So I guess you generate kind of like 4 per minute, I guess you could say. And then we're gonna get this one, get rid of it. Now, because my skill speed is a bit wonky, my dot is going to drop for about a second, but that's not too big of a deal. And then right here, we're gonna go back into Meiko Shisui. get our Midare out, then use that Midare on the Tsubame Gaishi, and then we have our Shoha again as well. And then it pretty much just repeats from there. Like, that's 3 minutes now, so it pretty much always stays the same. You're just going to be cycling through your 2 combos, throwing, well, your 3 combos, I guess you could say, using your Sen on Midare. Once per minute, you're going to be doing that filler combo, depending on how much skill speed that you have. And then after that, you're just going to be refreshing your dot. Once you're refreshed your dot, you also got your Meiko Shisui, which setups the Midare for your Tsubame Gaishi. And then you just try and use every Shoha that you can get. So yeah, pretty much a short video, but Samurai is a pretty straightforward job. There is some cool optimization that you can do with, for example, saving up gauge to get as many Shintens under specific raid buffs, like for example Brotherhood, because Brotherhood is 90 seconds, so it naturally misaligns with your normal burst window, but you can save up gauge to still have some form of burst in that window if you really wanted to. But if you want to just play it pretty standard without too much optimization, then Samurai is probably the easiest melee out there to play. But that doesn't mean that it's not fun, because I think Samurai is probably like my second favorite melee to play at the moment, other than just Ninja. So yeah, that's Samurai. Hope you learned something new, and I'll see you in the next one.